Welcome, gamers and fellow sports fans, to a very special edition of the Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast. I am Henri, aka No, it's not Henry, and I am here with the squad: C1, Dre, Courtney, Slade,
Yeah.
Jordan, and joining us today for the first time, another member of the squad here, Lance. What up? and
Whole lot of gang shit.
Oh, all right. And today is we're gonna kick this podcast off. This is our very special Madden podcast. So what we're gonna be doing today is we're gonna be going over the state of Madden as a whole, how it's been on a whole scale over the past few years, over the course of time, and how it's been progressing, and how we feel it's gonna be heading into Madden 20, which is right around the corner. August 2nd, but coming, Thursday, July 25th. If you've got early EA access, you can get on there and test out the game, the 10-hour trial, all that good stuff. So let's kick things off with talking about how we feel Madden has been, let's say, especially over the last 3-4 years-ish, how we feel as a whole scale Madden has been, and some of the positives they've had over the years, but, also the negative things that can definitely be improved upon. Now, I'm going to touch on that, but before I do that, I'm going to swing it over to one of you guys, let y'all start kick things off. I'm going to let Dre kick this off because I feel like out of anybody here, this man spends the most time playing the game. He'll play it up until new games getting ready to drop. Don't look at me like that, Sladro. But the man, he plays so much Madden. I forget he's got other games. So go ahead, Dre. What do you think? State of Madden has been.
That's true. That's true. So typically, I typically do play. Back in the old days, I played Madden all the way up until the new NCAA football was about to be released. But we all know that ain't been a thing for a while. So just gotta throw that little shot in there, EA.
Heartbreaking.
But recently, so my big thing, Madden, me personally, like I'm all about that realism. It's not. We understand that it's not going to be the exact same thing that we see on the field. I could care. To be honest, there are times I could care less how the crowd looks and things like that. Like, I don't care. But my thing is like when I'm playing the game and the actual gameplay itself, when it's my team versus my opponent, like I want it to be as close to simulation football as possible. And every year they come out and they tell us like, oh man, we got these brand new lights and look at the players. They look more like themselves. We got new tats and everything. Right. We got to look at our soundtrack. We got new, new gear. But then even when they have new gear, there was something that's being left out. Like they're always trying to show us like these are new things going on, but they're missing the core things. Like my biggest thing is why can't my offensive line ever block? The computer's offensive line can always block. I mean, I gotta work hard like crazy just to get a sack in an entire game. Excuse me. But for me personally, man, my offensive line, I could have all 99 overall, all across my starting five on offensive line, and I'm probably gonna end up with my quarterback getting sacked about 2-3 times that game. So my thing is, I'm like, look, like it's the small things that we as the fans, we as the the hardcore fans of the games that we get it every year. We play it. We're ready to say, hey, when we get in the lead together, when we're gonna start our own franchises and stuff like that. And then within a month of us playing it, we're already like, yo, man, did you see this offensive lineman? He couldn't block this. Man, my linebacker, he could jump 6 feet in the air to make this interception. Like, what's going on? I can't pass in the middle of the field. But then you're also like my DBs, like when it comes to this zone coverage, like they can't read anything. Like they don't know what's going on. They can't play in their zone. Ain't nobody stepping up. Like it's just, there's so many, there's the small things, like the fundamental things about football that Madden has been missing because they're too focused on long shot and ultimate team, and long shot's already been canceled. But yeah, MUT and all that kind of stuff. Like, they're focused on like with the shooters and everything, like how they do, all the, how you pay for everything and whatnot. So Madden's like, oh, we can, hop in on this same thing and have everybody buy all these cards so they can, build their ultimate teams and whatnot. I'm like, look, that's not why I came here to play. When I was playing 2K, when I was playing Game Day, like when I was playing the old Madden, when John Madden himself used to be on the cover, like when my cousin first got me, introduced to Madden, like it was straight up just football. You weren't caring about all that other stuff. It was straight up football. And Madden recently, they gotten away from that. And now in the past couple, I'd say the past 4 years, I have now stopped playing Madden probably about the mid-March time frame. Okay.
Okay.
And normally I go into the summer. So I'm just like, look, man, y'all got some things y'all gotta fix. And that's where I'm standing right now. My biggest thing is franchise. They gotta fix franchise, but
Right.
see
And
where that goes.
that's good. I mean, that's some good points. I mean, I feel like, you mentioned long shot, and I feel like long shot was just an excuse. They're trying to appease the crowd, the people that want the career mode, the superstar mode that should be in the game. Just like, here's long shot, some, thing that we half-assed together and just threw in the game. And it was garbage for the most part. I mean, I didn't play it. So I played like
I didn't even finish it.
5 minutes of it. Like it was, whatever. I didn't really get into it like that. I mean, let me swing it over to you, Courtney. What do you think? How you feel?
I'm really on the same viewpoints as Dre. A lot of the time for me, I know that it can't get as close to simulation as possible. I know there's some things that can't actually happen. That there are certain limitations in some way, shape, or form. Um, but blocking was one of my biggest issues. The same thing as Dre. Simple things where you drop into a spread formation and you have limited blocking, which I would understand. And you got two linemen on the left side, and you got a blitzer coming on the slot corner per se. And the blitz is coming. You'll try to shift the lineman over there. Might even move another receiver, move the running back over there to be in that utility slot on the left side, and they would just stand there or get caught up in the lineman next to them. Simple gameplay mechanics that would almost simply render the game almost unplayable in a sense, just for the simple fact that they just can't block. And
Right.
and then we play in a franchise, and your quarterback gets sacked, he injured and out for the next 12 weeks.
Right.
Um,
Right. And
Not
that
that it's part of the game. I get it. Injuries happen, whatever. But and I could be nitpicky at the end of the day. But it's what we expect from the games that we play. If we're gonna spend the money on the game, we expect it to look a certain way, play a certain way, especially when it's promised to be the greatest Madden that's ever been released,
right.
just like Madden 25 was with AP
Right.
on the cover, and
Right.
we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
mean, and you make some good points, and that's kind of the stuff that they tell us every year. Oh, this is the best Madden yet, and this is the best this and whatever. I mean, this is what they keep doing over and over every year. Almost like broken promises. All right, so Jordan, what do you got on this, Mr. Kansas City?
Man, I tell you what, it's like Dre said, man, that they need to work on the franchise mode, man. I feel like everything is being put into the my team or sorry, the my team, their MUT
Yeah,
mode. That's where everything is going, man. I mean, that's their money right now. And I know we've talked about it as
microtransactions.
collective, that's where it's going. Nothing is getting upgraded in the franchise, which is like us. We play the franchise mode. I know a lot of us played it till mid March, February ish this past year.
Hmm.
Uh, but I mean, it starts to get to stale. You have the middle linebackers being able to jump 10 feet in the air, being able to ball hawk and intercept the balls. I'm like, man, it's somebody. All they need is somebody. All somebody needs is a linebacker who's got 90 plus speed, and it's hard for you
That's
to
it.
throw them. They
Dominate.
run cover three the whole game, and then you done.
Right. I
It's
mean,
just
yeah. I
it.
mean,
I want it to be
go
fun
ahead.
again. Like I want it to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, and that's that's one of the things that we all, kind of everyone wants to have fun fairly. You know what I'm saying? We want the game to be fair and have fun at the same time. All right, Lance, what you think? I mean, I know you like me, right? So we play the game and we figure out within the first month what it is, and then if once we figure that out, we out in 2 months. So what you think?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean,
Did you
like
even
Dre
give it
said,
two
man.
months last time, Lance? Damn.
I don't even think he made it 2 months.
I don't think he
Shit, man,
did either, but
I made it through one franchise season, and I was in a big competitive league. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, like I said then, don't get me wrong. Like I always play a game every year, man, because I love football games, and
Right.
it's the only football game. It's the only one. It's the only simulation
unfortunate.
football game. Like,
Unfortunate.
you know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to play NFL Street. I don't want to play any of these other games that came out. The biggest thing for me is, like you guys said, is these empty promises, man. Each year it's promised that, we're gonna have better gameplay. And when I think of gameplay, I think of player movement. and how they react on the field. I look at a game like
Mm-hmm.
FIFA that's been so consistent. FIFA is so consistent. Like, how do you get FIFA so right and you bomb on Madden? But I mean, it's more international. It's where the money's at. So in a way, I get it, but it's just so frustrating as for people like us, groups of people like us who are looking for a simulation football game each year. It's the same, man. And again, like you said, I get the micro purchases because it's just the endless trail of money coming in because people are always going to buy these packs. But man, I can't continue to do it. I really can't, man. I cannot continue to keep doing it each and every year. The player movement was promised to be better last year. I think they did
every year for the last
like
4 years.
Didn't they?
Frostbite.
Yeah.
So last year, I get it. It was completely new. So I want to give them the benefit about that this year that it will be better. And that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, I really am because Frostbite is, man, it's good.
It's clean.
It's
clean.
Right. If they get it right, it's right. But they got to get it right, man. They have to get it right. And I just don't know how long it's going to take them or how serious they're taking it. Like you said, they keep updating everything but the player movement. I don't care if there are 10 fans in the crowd holding signs, no fan. You could take the whole stands out.
They could all be flat. Take it back to PlayStation PS2 days.
Right.
It could be flat. You know, I really don't care. I mean, I get it. That's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, these stadiums, man, they look exactly like how they look in real life. I get it. That's cool. But I just think if I had to prioritize it, man, that's the standpoint that I'm at, man. It's just the player movement, and the amount of what we would call cheese in the game. If I know what play you're going to run and I set it up perfectly and I have my linebacker running with this drag route and I know exactly where the pass is going to go. I know where it's going to go. I'm standing there and that pass still gets through. That's just one of the most frustrating things I cannot stress enough, man.
Mechanics and and you're right, and you're 100% right about all of that, and that's one of the things I'm gonna speak on in terms of those type of animations. But Sladro, I know you play the game a lot, and you kind of keep, for the most part, to what I can tell, you kind of keep neutral a lot as far as having a negative opinion or having an overly positive opinion. So what do you think? How do you really feel? How do you really feel about it?
Well, I'll just comment on what you asked at the beginning. The last 3 years, the game's been, I won't call it trash. It hasn't been good. It hasn't been trash, fair, though. And I think, what 19 was the last one? That was the best one out of the last 3 years. And I mean, that's not comparing it to nothing, but I think 19 was better than 18 and 17. For sure.
Okay.
At least to me. I think Madden's biggest problem is, this is probably since probably Madden 25, without connected franchise, I don't play Madden, which for me is like never happened in my life. Like 08, 09, 2010, I would play Madden all day. But if I'm not playing with people, I can't do it. Like I think that's the biggest thing Madden's missing. Like, I can't just play offline, or I can't just go to online games, because we know online games is not the answer anymore.
That's trash.
That's trash.
That's complete. We're not doing that.
That might be the worst online gaming thing out of any game I've played in the last 10 years. Online,
I forgot about that.
Super toxic and
it's
trash.
The worst.
That connection's horrible, man. Oh.
Like, what? People get into Ultimate Team, but I'm not about to. At the end of the day, I'm not about to play Ultimate Team for more than 3-4 days. And then I give up on that too. So I think my biggest problem with Madden is, if I can't play it with people, I don't want to play it, which I think that's bad. Because there's many other games that I can just go play on my own, play offline, online, the story mode, this or that. So I mean, that's one of my biggest issues with Madden right now.
And to speak on that, Aaron, and C and Ree, I'm gonna let y'all get into it. But just speaking on that point right there, like when we all started out, before live got as big as what it is now, I'm pretty sure we can all remember going over to somebody's house or somebody coming over to your house, our house, and just playing, starting up the Xbox or starting up the PlayStation, and you just playing Madden. And winner gets to keep the stick, loser get off, next person come on, keep playing. Like that's what drove people to the house. You had, snacks and all that kind of stuff, and you could chill for hours just doing that. And so I feel like Madden's kind of losing that, because that's the thing. If we can't have a good time with our friends doing this, because that's what the fun bragging rights come about. Like, man, I beat you, or I'm such and such record against you, man, you can't beat me. And but when the gameplay's trash, then the arguments are like, man, I would have beaten you if such and such hadn't happened in the game. So it's no longer about just your skill, it's your skill and the game.
Right, and that's and you made a point. You mentioned about franchise, and I told y'all plenty of times, and I'm dead serious. Like, if I wasn't playing with y'all in the league and the franchise and all that, I wouldn't play. Like,
I agree.
I'm not even joking. Like,
I second that.
I would have
All
no
in on that.
reason to play at all. I'd just be like, okay. And that's sad because, you know, I'm OG Madden player. So to get to this point where to say like I wouldn't even play if y'all wasn't playing, that says a lot because, you know, I've been playing Madden for a minute. You know, see, I'm gonna let you, you know, you've been patient. You know, you've been taking all this in.
Shit, here we go.
Yeah, he was quiet too. He ain't said nothing.
You know,
Hey, before you let him go, before you let him go, like I said to you guys a few days ago, it's just the legacy of Madden. You know, Madden's always, I mean, for 20 years, Madden always been the best football game until, in my opinion, 2K5 came out. And then it was just like, man, and then they bought them out. And when
they can't even live up to that.
And when they bought them out, I just thought, this is clearing the path. They're going to continue to make it better and better. And it's just been tarnished, man. I mean, for me, since 2010, 12, 13. I mean, it don't matter.
Yeah, man. Something like that. Yeah.
Vince Young for me, whatever Madden that was. That was
yeah.
That one. Was that 08? 08?
That was the one.
Yeah, because
it's funny how everybody knows which one that is. You can just like name the player Madden, and we all know which Madden it was.
That's what I'm saying.
One that I had on Xbox and we used to play over in Germany.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That
Mike Vick was what,
04? That
04, Mike Vick, Marshall Faulk 03, Ray Lewis 05. That's my
Ray Lewis.
05 is what started.
Those back to back. 03,
yeah, those were the best.
Compare that to 16, 17, 18, 19.
No comparison.
It's like the same game. I ain't gonna lie to you. Shit, it's the same damn game.
No comparison. Right.
Right.
Go ahead, C. I'm gonna let you rock it, and I'm gonna let y'all know how I feel. You know, I got my stuff in here. I'm gonna let you go see, and then I'm gonna go.
He said he got the notes.
So it's funny that Lance mentioned playing Madden up until 2K5, and how beast 2K5 was because I was actually on the other side of the plane where I was anti-Madden for years.
I can attest to that.
It's funny because I'm looking at my desk and I found this. I got a copy of NFL 95 on Game Gear sitting on my desk.
Game Gear, wow,
bruh. I literally used to play every other game except Madden. So, you know, back in the early days, I played, you know, Tecmo Bowl. I played NFL Quarterback Club down to
started.
You know, NFL Game Day, and Game Day was my thing. You know,
Game Day was clean.
Game Day was a beast. And, you know, they were the first ones that it was, you know, the 3D polygons was the big deal when Game Day first dropped. And, you know, and it was a beast. And they were ahead of the time. They were ahead of the curve before
Madden was ugly in those days.
Madden was trash back then.
Those early PlayStation days. They were trash. It was ugly.
So, you know, 2K came out. We all played 2K. If you had the Dreamcast or, you know.
That changed the game.
But
Eddie Moss on the cover.
My point being in all of this is that now Madden is the only deal in town. And for those of us who enjoy products coming from that NFL Shield, it's the only thing that's on the plate right now that we can have access to.
Agreed.
So we can all agree that we all still play the game regardless of how we feel about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Give it a fair shot every year.
Right. So my whole point is, all we can do is let them improve the game as they will and give our opinions along the way. But, you know, we sitting around complaining about it and not taking any action towards any change in the actual game. I don't really see how that helps anything. So, you know, I guess myself and Jordan played the beta. I played the beta. I don't know about y'all, but I sent 2 emails to EA in regards to the beta, and I gave my feedback in regards to the beta.
That's good.
And
we need more of that.
I told them what they saw. We'll get into what I saw in the beta in a little bit, but you know, the thing I keep seeing throughout these Madden games is I am seeing steady improvement. But the issue that I'm seeing,
slowly,
which is a problem in Madden, is that it doesn't feel like there's football guys on Madden. It feels like there's video game guys working on Madden.
That's a good point. I'm gonna give you that's a very clean point.
It's going to play like a video game, and a lot of us, a lot of us have been out on a field in some shape or form or at some level. A lot of us understand football on a higher level than a lot of the average fans may understand football. We understand, block assignments. We understand coverages. We understand certain things that, maybe the average NFL fan or the average college fan or the average Madden gamer even may not understand, because a lot of people is really just pressing buttons. If you really want to, if you really want to boil down to what it is, like a lot of folks out there just running 4 verts and cover 4, and we know we play against them all the time. So my point being with that is we're seeing things in a different light than the average user is seeing these things, and that's mainly why we don't see the changes and the improvements in the things that we want, are because they're gonna get the lion's share of their feedback is gonna come from the average gamer. And the average gamer is getting on the game. They're seeing, wow, the lighting does look much better than it did in the last one. Oh, look, they added a new mode. Or they changed the menus in this. The interface looks different. The interface looks better and smoother. Or, the game moves a little bit faster. So the things that we might see, because we literally play Madden day in, day out once it drops, the average gamer is just not going to notice. So that's why I kind of cut EA a little bit of slack, because my understanding of EA is that they're a company that their concern are the microtransactions, and right now Madden Ultimate Team is where they're gonna get those Madden transactions from. And I don't have to like it to understand the business end of it. And until improving the things that we're discussing today are gonna improve EA's bottom line, then they're just gonna continue the way they are, because they're not gonna take the time to tear the whole game down and rebuild it just so that the 5-10% of us that really know football can be happy with it. That's just real.
And
hey, Ree,
go ahead, Lance.
Since we got C in the spotlight, I had a quick question for him, as far as, because like he said, him and Jordan did play the beta. So as far as us as a group of people who, like you said, have been on the field at some point in time, what improvement as far as what we're looking for have you seen in the game? I get the lighting, I get the interface, but I want to know, as far as what you've played with the gameplay, player movement, and mechanics of the game, what is your opinion on it? What have you seen that they've done to improve that?
You want to go first, Jordan?
I won't play very little. Some of the things that I've seen, as it is a little bit more difficult for those linebackers to make those interceptions, and then it's a little bit easier for you to jostle for the ball when it's up in the air. But you can see wide receivers moving for the ball as opposed to just going up like this, and then the DB just jumps out of nowhere, or he's with them the whole time. And there's you got a receiver who can, like a D-Hop. I know you play with D-Hop a lot, so he could jump over that DB, or he can go in front of him real quick. But in the Maddens 19 and 18, you throw it up and he goes up for it. Unless it's behind him, that defensive back that's with him is picking it off. It's not exactly the same thing this year. You have a chance to actually get that wide receiver in position to get the reception. Those are the only things I've seen. Like I said, I haven't played it very much. I played 2-3 games because.
What did you see? How much of it, in terms of what Lance is talking about, motion and movements and stuff? What did you see?
All right, so couple of really, 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 really important key points. So I'm gonna start with the quarterback. Pressure affects every quarterback.
As it should.
When a D lineman, when a pass rusher breaks away from that blocker, that pressure is gonna affect your quarterback. And you can be playing with Tom Brady, you can be playing with Drew Brees.
Now,
before you play with anybody, and that pressure is going to affect that pass, and you may get an errant pass out of your quarterback if you don't get the ball out quick enough.
Before you continue, let me just jump in real quick on that note. Now, does pressure from every defensive player affect quarterback, or are we talking like the players with those superstar abilities?
JJ Watt, and
Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox. Like, are we talking about those kind of guys, or is it just nameless defensive end second string guy can get that same impact on the quarterback?
Well, it's a little bit of both, and that's actually my second point that I was going to get into. So the second point, I'll actually drive right into that, because pressure from anywhere. So meaning the pocket starts to collapse. You get a defensive lineman that they broke through the line, and they have a clear shot at the quarterback. Those things are all going to affect the quarterback now. The second point that I wanted to get into is you do notice more things happening in the trenches, and they are happening according to the way the players play. So an Aaron Donald is going to break through that line a lot quicker than, you know, a Cameron Wake, or, you know, or somebody that, you know, they may not be a superstar lineman, even though, you know, they basically, my point being is, you know, they're separating the good from the great, and, you know, and the poor performers from the average performers. You can see a clear difference in players at every position as far as their skill set goes. So your offensive lineman or your fullback actually matters in this game. Not necessarily just your fullback, but your lead blocker actually happens to matter. Hey. So, you know, in the last 2 Madden games, you know, you can pretty much throw anybody in at fullback, and then they just gonna be a body, and they'll run in front of you, and then it's whatever. But you would notice right away.
We ain't even gonna bring up throwing Gronk as a fullback. Go ahead.
You can pretty much, anybody who has a decent run block, you can set up as a fullback, and they're gonna do their job in the older ones. Whereas now, good fullbacks and poor fullbacks, like, they stand out. Like, I was playing with a good fullback in a couple of these games that I was in, and they were really blocking their ass off. They were getting out in front of the blocker. They weren't just stepping out from the line and then just stepping up to the next level and trying to block the next guy. They were actually trying to stay in front of me, which I thought was great because I run the ball a lot, and I thought that was big for the run game. Same thing, if you have a lead blocker that's a guard, you know, I don't want to give away all my secrets, but, you know, I do I do a lot of
you need all of them.
I run a lot of plays that enable guards to be your lead blockers. We'll just leave it at that. But you know, because I'm about to put up a few rings up against y'all, so I'm just gonna keep that quiet real quick. But either way,
rings.
Either way, your lead either way, the blocking actually matters, is what I'm trying to say. The people, your offensive line, your tight ends, your fullback, they block to their skill set, and it actually matters this time. The next thing I noticed was in coverage. Like you mentioned earlier, the linebackers jumping 6 feet in the air, Reed. You know, that's not happening anymore. You know, athletic linebackers are still athletic linebackers. You know, you get a Deion Jones or somebody like that that's exceptionally fast for their
position. Name somebody that ain't a Falcons player.
I named the fastest linebacker in the game. Hello.
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted to know. I really wanted to know that. As far as, did they just nerf all the linebackers? Because there are some linebackers that are athletic enough.
Right. I don't mind.
Your athletic guys are your athletic guys. Your big hitters, you know, your big hitters are your big hitters. You know, Anthony Barr is going to hit a little bit different than, you know, I don't know, Shaq Thompson. You know, you're going to get some guys, you know, you can tell who's hitting harder. You know, that hit stick, you know, you're going to see the clear difference in, you know, your hit stick with your linebackers, because, you know, your guys that are, you know, the newer hybrid, like more coverage linebackers play a little bit differently than, you know, your more old school linebackers, your Leighton Van Der Esch type players. And, you know, you can tell the clear difference. The thing I didn't like that I saw were animations in coverage with your DBs. So, wasn't really a big fan, and what I mean when I say I wasn't really a big fan is, it still seemed that animations were taking over when you're at the point of catching the ball. Unless you have a truly elite receiver in the game, a lot of times jump balls could really go either way based on the animation and not necessarily based on the throw, which I didn't like.
Okay, so here's my question to that. So you said, you know, you see a difference if you don't have an elite receiver. But let's take someone like Courtney, for instance. So Courtney goes down and he gets Chris Conley, he gets DeAnthony Thomas, he gets, you know, Shelton Gibson, you know,
Kevin White,
you know,
man.
He get Kevin White. Yeah, he get all these receivers that just have speed, and he line them up like Courtney throwing for 700 yards.
4 verts.
So
I feel like it's going to still go.
So in that, it was on all, you know, I'm glad you asked me that. The thing is, the pass rush is a lot different, and the pass rush is a lot more effective. So you're not gonna have, you know, 4 offensive linemen that are, you know, ranging between 70 and 75, and they're gonna block while your wide receiver, you know, gets 30, 40 yards up the field. Just consider that gone. Like, the pass rush is actually effective now. You know, you got 3-4 seconds tops and that's it. And that's if your offensive line is serious. But it's playing in the trenches is what I noticed the most, in that it does actually play more like the league does, as far as, you know, you being able to hold the ball and get that time to get the ball off. So 4 verts is gonna be something that you're gonna have to plan for, and you're gonna have to script that. You can't just run that all game 9.
Right. Okay. Let me jump in here.
If you don't mind me saying real quick as well, yes, I did notice as well, because I was playing with Calvin Ridley, one of the faster receivers in the game, and I did notice that your faster receivers, they'll beat their man going downfield. However, again, if it's not an elite receiver, you know, really in the game is a 79. If you don't have an elite receiver like a Julio Jones or somebody to that liking,
DeAndre Hopkins,
Michael Thomas, you know, maybe even a Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's a 94 in the game. You know, you don't have an elite guy. You know, as far as that pass goes, you know, that pass, you know, because the pass rush is still coming in, you know, that pressure may affect the pass. Your quarterback might throw a little bit short, and then still, you know, there's ball up between you and your DB. So,
okay,
it plays a little more realistic to me, in my opinion.
That's good. That's great. And you actually made some real clean points that, you know, I ain't gonna lie, some of them I didn't expect that you was gonna come with such good points. But I will keep it a buck. So here's the thing. Let me preface by coming in with my foundation for, you know, football games as a whole. You know.
When they added the Pro Bowl, which is
are you about to go?
Yeah, why, you got something?
Go ahead. No, just go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. You know, you know, as a
that's a great book.
Ooh,
Let that
clean.
nigga go. Look at it. He butthurt.
As the, you know, I guess in fairness, I'm probably the elder statesman of this group. You know, at 36, you know, unfortunately, I'm the old head, the oldest of the old heads even in the group. So
yeah, you old.
I've been playing. Oh, really? I'm older than you by what? A few months?
Nah, like a year. But go ahead.
You know, I've been, you know, football games. I'm OG on the football games. You know, if we're talking about, in my personal opinion, you know, top 2 as far as best football games ever is 2K5 and Tecmo Super Bowl. So, you know, when we start talking about Madden, I've been on Madden since the beginning. You know, and not since Commodore Madden, but hey, MLB, nah, not Commodore Madden, but we talking about Madden 93-ish. So I've been on Madden for a minute. So here's the thing, you know, having played pretty much every Madden since then, I have kind of these high expectations for the game and what I feel the game should be, because I've seen where the game's progressed. And even like I said, those missteps early, those early PlayStation days, you know, Madden, it wasn't the best. And again, it got strong competition from NFL Game Day, but Madden was still really playable. It wasn't the best, but it had those rough patches that they worked through. And by the time they got to the PS2 era, you know, history was kind of made from there. You know, but I feel like Madden's biggest problems over the years has been this steady decline, because the game at some point in time after 05, once we started getting to like 06, once we got to like that next generation after Xbox and PS2, once we got to PS3 and Xbox 360, Madden changed big time, right? So that was like 06, you know, so
Yep.
we got to a point where animations started to dictate gameplay, right? It wasn't gameplay acted on its own. It was predetermined canned animations, and it's only gotten worse. Okay, so it's gotten worse over the years, and to me, that's one of the biggest problems, because the way plays, you know, happen and they play out aren't based on. They're not solely based on ratings. They're not based on player size and weight. They're not based on player skill level most of the time. What they're based on is the game predetermining an animation, because this happens, you know, we see this all the time where guys get caught in an animation and some guys are continuing the animation. They're not even part of the play anymore. The ball's 10 yards downfield and the guy back here is still carrying out an animation. He's got nothing to do with the play. So you can't tell me that predetermined animations aren't having an impact on gameplay. They are. They're in fact determining gameplay most of the time, and that's a huge part of the problem. You know,
I mean, Madden just be hoeing sometimes, man. You know that.
Yeah, but the problem is sometimes is most of the time.
I mean, it's kind of part of the fun too, because
that's not part of the fun.
We all watch our favorite team, and something random happens on the field and in real life, man.
That's not the same thing. That's one of the problems, and we talk about that. That's one of the main legacy issues that have been plaguing Madden. We talk about that. We talk about how fumbles aren't properly respected anymore. The ball goes, and then you got the guys on defense trying to go for the ball, and then they just jump over it. You see one guy jump over it. You see a second guy jump over it.
Look at it. They don't even jump over it.
Everybody just standing over the ball.
What happens is the guy who fumbled the ball, either the ball phases back into his possession, or the next offensive, right, like a magnet, or the next offensive player, he falls on it and then it sucks into his arms like a magnet again. Fumbles, another legacy issue.
10 yards backwards.
Those linebackers, that again, if that's a problem that's been fixed, great. But let's talk about the fact that it has been a legacy issue for how many years now?
I mean, you're talking about a glitch, man.
That's not a glitch. That's a legacy issue.
That's a glitch.
Nah, you can fix the glitches.
A glitch is something that can be fixed in a patch. You know,
yeah.
Like you're not fixing it because that shit is fun.
Because it's a legacy issue.
It's not fun.
It's not fun.
Tell me when you're not on the other side of that Madden hoeing moment, when you on the good side of that, it don't feel good.
No,
like when it happens, you're like, man, I'm so glad that wasn't me, but I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It happens in my favor, and I'm playing one of y'all. I'm like, damn, yo, my bad, but
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, it happens.
You're feeling it though.
No, I'm not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it
because it happens.
You're like, fuck it. And Madden just be hoeing sometimes, you know.
Yes, but the problem is that animation plays out way too much because it's a legacy issue. Player motion has been an issue as well, and that's not a glitch. That's just the way the game has played. Player motion. There hasn't been real player motion. They said for years, every year. I mean, last year, again, like to Lance's point, last year was the implementation of Frostbite. And I'll give, in fairness, I'll say, okay, it's going to take some time to implement properly. I don't have a problem with that. But before Frostbite, how many years prior to that were they talking about real motion? Oh, we got real player motion. We got player.
They got better immediately with Frostbite.
Yeah, it got better. But
the visuals got better with Frostbite, but the gameplay literally just transitioned into the Frostbite.
Yes.
So today, to feed into that, today at work, to feed into that part of it, with the animations that you talk about, today at work, I was talking to one of the guys that's in the group, and he was asking me, he's like, what's going on with that video that somebody posted of Randall Cunningham throwing the ball? And I was like, well, the first video was from 2K8, and he dropped, jaw dropped, like you couldn't believe it was from that far ago, I'm like, yeah, that's 11-year-old game, man. I said, and then you look at the one where he's just throwing his whole body like a baseball, like he's a pitcher or something. I was like, that's not a proper animation.
And those are some of the like major things. And I also feel like things like awareness and ratings, the player ratings. Again, if Madden 20 takes proper ratings, because now they're trying to scale it differently, which I like that. I respect that.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of players in the 60s starting.
Like if you're like guys that have been average in prior years, they'd be like an 84. Like he should not be an 84, bro. Like guys like that, if they're like a 74 or 73, I'm cool with that. I'm good. However, what I'm not good with is if the ratings don't matter. If they don't matter, all of this is irrelevant. Right? Yeah. So guys that are fast, the speed threshold should matter. Guys that have 99 speed, once they hit top end speed, guys that are 89 speed or 90 speed should not be keeping up with them. That should not happen.
That 99 pursuit.
You got 99.
That's what it was, though. That was annoying.
That's not about speed or acceleration or anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like guys like Tyreek Hill, once they're gone, bro. Like you're not catching up to them. If they get 2 yards,
so Carl Joseph can't catch up to them.
I don't care how fast you are, right?
Man said who?
If you take two guys, right? If you take two guys of the same speed, if one guy gets a 3-yard jump, the guy that's 3 yards behind shouldn't catch up if they're the same speed.
Always be 3
That's
yards
just
behind.
Impossible. There's just no way that can happen.
But the guy in front's holding the ball. So
Nah.
he's got extra weight. You know what I mean?
No, what?
Oh my gosh.
That's not how that works. That's not how that works. So, that's
from
Damn, see, come on,
It's
bro.
a weighted ball, bro.
Yeah,
So
see,
weighted
see, never ran with the ball
It's a
before.
weighted ball.
You know he ain't run with it. You know he played on defense.
Right. If the ratings don't matter, all of this is irrelevant. I feel like awareness is especially one of those things, because how many times have we had guys head tracking, awareness? We had guys that the ball's coming in the direction, and then, like, especially guys on defense, they're coming in the direction and they just turn around like the ball wasn't coming in the direction, hits off their helmet or something. Like, I've watched too many of these videos, I've seen too many plays in person happen where it's just like, dude, how does that happen? You have elite receivers that are running their routes and the ball's thrown their way and they have no idea the ball's coming and just hits them. Like, yo, that should not happen. All of that stuff is, again, if the ratings don't matter, none of the scaling matters.